Welcome everybody to Let's Talk. This is episode 10. And of course, I've got JaguarGator9 here with me talking about all things football, as well as some music news. And my cat's deciding she wants to be in the action too.
We got started.
Yeah, I don't know. She loves sitting right where my hands are right now. So she'll sit and watch me play games and stuff. But yeah, this is kind of her spot. So she's like, let me in. How's it going?
It's going all right. I mean, definitely had better in terms of my sports luck, but it's been going well. It's that time of year.
Yeah. You've been streaming a lot, making a lot of money with those. You make the calls and with some new sponsors for you, which I think is great.
Yeah, so far so good.
What's your goals for the rest of the season with football as far as your channel goes?
I mean, I want to get to 70K subscribers. I definitely want to grow the audience, and I want to do a lot of videos. I have a lot of videos that I'm banked up. I want to get to a point where I'm doing daily uploads on both JG9 and JG8. We're starting to ramp up again on JG8, which is awesome. But I want to get to a more consistent point where we're doing the same work on JG8 as we're on JG9.
And it not be dumb decisions 5 times a week, right?
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of those. I want to do history videos, but these coaches are just not letting me off the hook.
You actually did a dumb decisions video today that wasn't timeout based. Let's talk about that a little bit from last night's game. Some fourth down calls that just made no sense.
Yeah, Mike McDaniel, I'm starting to think he might not be that good of a coach with the Dolphins. I mean, that was abysmal yesterday. I mean, there was so many bad things that the Dolphins did during that game. There was the lack of urgency in the fourth quarter. They were huddling up. They were calling plays with 1 second on the play clock. There were 4 times that they called a play with 1 second on the play clock with a running clock in the fourth quarter, down by 2 scores.
Yeah.
No urgency there. There was the just awful decision in terms of the fourth down play calling, where they try to play to Tyreek Hill on an end around instead of going up the middle. They go side to side, doesn't work out. Then they try to do the same thing, even though every run had been snuffed out by that point. Later in the fourth quarter, after wasting a minute to decide that play, there was also, they called a play action pass that got a sack for a safety with 2 minutes left, as if anyone thought that with no timeouts left in the game and the mean 2 scores that they were going to actually run the ball. I don't know what McDaniel was doing. I know he's been dealt a bad hand in terms of the quarterback situation, but I know good coaches find a way to overcome, and he's been the exact opposite.
Well, I mean, you look at the Packers, they lose Jordan Love, and it's almost like they didn't miss a beat. Yeah, their passing game kind of suffered a little bit, but they still went out and won. And then they had a hard fought one this week, which I think they could have won, but that's a Minnesota team that has come out to dominate, and I think no one expected that.
No, the fact that they are one of 2 undefeated teams left, and they're playing incredible football. If you told me what were the Vikings going to start at the start of the season, playing the Giants, the Niners, the Texans, and the Packers, I think if you told Viking fans to be 2-2, they would have taken that. I think most people expected 1-3, 0-4, 0-4, 1-3,
and they just dominated the Texans.
It's nuts. Yeah.
Well, we'll get to the Jags Texans game in a minute, but let's talk about some NCAA first. What are your takeaways from this past weekend?
I mean, Bama, Georgia was one of the best games I've ever seen in my life. My takeaway is that the 12-team playoff is going to be incredible because both these teams are top 12 teams, and I want to see a rematch. I don't know how we get it. I don't know if it's going to be a SEC championship. I don't know if it's going to be in the playoff, but I want to see more of that. That game was absolutely nuts, and that was what makes college football so special. I know college football's been in a weird spot in terms of NIL and in terms of realignment and everything, but moments like that are what draws you to the sport. Like, oh yeah, this is why we love the sport. So that game was nuts.
Yeah. Texas being on the roll they're on, they're going to run into some freight trains now that They've started now that conference play is really in full swing. How do you see Texas running the gauntlet of the SEC?
I mean, I think Texas is going to be fine. I'm more worried about Oklahoma in terms of the two teams, but in terms of Texas, I mean, they play Oklahoma soon. That game, Oklahoma's not that good this year. They have no offense. They have no offense to speak of whatsoever. Really, the only super tough opponent that Texas has left is Georgia. Everyone else, I mean, Vandy is Vandy. I mean, they're better than what they are, but at the end of the day, they're still Vandy. Florida's a joke. Kentucky, Arkansas, Texas A&M, I mean, they're fine, but Texas can be favored by double digits in all those games, at the very least a touchdown.
But
Texas,
A&M,
as long as Texas doesn't lose 3, they're in the playoff.
A&M, I feel, well, the hatred's there, long history. Yeah, they haven't played each other in a while, but that rivalry's still there. That game's going to be good. I mean, I'm hoping that game's good because what we don't need is a blowout for the first time back for that game.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a special moment. It's going to be a special moment after a decade on hiatus.
Yeah.
It's going to be special.
Let's talk about Arizona State. How was your thoughts on the Arizona State game this past weekend?
Oh, well, the game against Texas Tech, I wasn't surprised by. Game against Texas Tech, I was not surprised by. Having said that, I mean, 3-1 to start the year off. You beat a very good Texas State team on the road. You destroyed Wyoming in your home game. You beat Mississippi State, being an SEC opponent. Now, granted, Mississippi State's not that good, as we found out, but look, 3-1, they're above expectations. They're above expectations. It's going to be a long rebuild. I mean, Herm Edwards and Randerson left that program kind of in shambles, especially because there was a postseason man last year and just everything with recruiting violations and whatnot. But I like what Dillingham has brought to the table, and the fact that our quarterback is just a freshman. The future is bright. I don't think anything's going to happen this year. I think if we go 6-6, I will take that for ASU. If we make a bowl game, that would be a heck of a season that I did not see coming. I don't think anyone saw coming because they're projected to finish last in the Big 12. But so far, so good for ASU. So far, I think 3-1. I think any ASU fan would have taken that.
Yeah. And of course, Baylor losing a weird game. That game was really weird against BYU. Yeah. Your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I don't know why BYU was the underdog in that one.
I don't either.
I don't know.
I had BYU winning that game, even as a Baylor fan. I had them winning that game. I just didn't expect them to win that easily.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, every loss at this point is one step closer to Dave getting fired. And I think we are nearing that point.
Yeah, and I hope they throw the AD out with him.
Yeah, they should.
Other games. Let's talk about this coming week. What games are on the slate that you're going to be watching, other than the ones you're calling?
Yeah, no. This week, I mean, you got some good action in the Big Ten. I mean, Iowa Ohio State is deceptively not terrible. Of the game, and then Michigan Washington, obviously the rematch of the championship. But I'm looking forward to watching Rutgers football right now. Rutgers against Nebraska. Those are two teams that you can make the argument are top 25 teams. Rutgers 4-0, Nebraska 4-1. They're off to very good starts to start the year off. If Rutgers wins that game, you look at their schedule. You look at Rutgers' schedule coming up. I mean, they have USC, Illinois. And other than that, they don't have a ranked opponent at that point. I mean, they play a Wisconsin team that doesn't have their starting quarterback. They play UCLA team that might be the worst in the Big Ten. They play Minnesota, who's in shambles right now. I mean, there's a chance if Rutgers wins this game, as crazy as it sounds, there's a chance we could talk about Rutgers making the Big Ten championship. There's a chance we could talk about Rutgers making the playoff because they're undefeated right now. And at that point, I mean, I'm not sure if a 2-loss Rutgers gets in, but a 1-loss Rutgers could absolutely. And they'll be favored in, I would say, probably every single game the rest of the way except for USC. They'll probably be favored against Illinois at home. Yeah.
What about are you expecting a bloodbath with Georgia-Auburn?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm expecting Georgia to just curb stomp them.
What about the Baylor-Iowa State game? What's your thoughts on that game?
I'm going to take Iowa State on that one, but I think that one's going to be fairly close. I don't think that one's going to be a blowout. I could see probably a 3-point game, 4-point game in that one.
Yeah. Something similar to what Baylor did at Colorado.
Yeah. Very similar. Yeah.
Other top 25 matchups. Miami's taking on California, and the big one I think for us is Michigan at Washington.
Yeah, rematch of the championship from last year.
Yeah.
I can't figure this Michigan team out. They're not that good offensively, but then again, they beat USC, and that was a big win for them. They beat USC. Granted, they had a backup quarterback who didn't have to do anything. The final drive was just nothing but runs. They had to do absolutely nothing, but they get that ground game going. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Tennessee, are they kind of a surprise as good how good they are?
Oh no. There was a clear top four in the SEC this year with Bama, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas. There was a clear top four. Ilamaliava is incredible. We knew that going in that he was going to be one of the Heisman favorites last year. I mean, they got a program in the right direction. The last 2 years, Tennessee's been great. He's done a really good job building that program, and there's no real surprises with how Tennessee's been doing. They are probably right now. I don't know if they're the best team in college football, but they're the most consistent. On a week in, week out basis, you know exactly what you're getting with Tennessee. They don't have letdowns. You know exactly what you're getting.
It's not this 1 week we're great, the next week we don't bother showing up.
Yeah. You know, they come to play every game.
Yeah. Well, let's talk. I want to touch on something that happened over the weekend real quick with baseball, and then we'll move on to our game recap. MLB basically drops a turd.
Yeah, literally.
With its handling of Atlanta, New York.
It's terrible. Like, I'm not even watching the playoffs this year as a result. Like, I have so much to do as it is. Like, I can't bother caring. If they don't want to care about having a system with integrity, I'm not gonna watch. I'm not gonna bother. They could have easily played the series between the Mets and the Braves Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and got it in before the hurricane. But for whatever reason, Rob Manfred thought he knew better than meteorologists and knew better than everyone telling him that you're not going to get these games in because it's going to be raining. And he's like, nope, we're gonna try it. And
how long do you give before the owners revolt against him?
I mean, as long as they're making money. I don't think they're going to revolt. I mean, he works for them, and I mean, with the advertisements on the jerseys, the ratings are sort of going up as a result of the rule changes. Sort of, it's still not great, but they're sort of going up. I think the ratings are going to go up tremendously this year with Ohtani in the playoffs and 2 New York teams in there. So I don't think we're going to see a revolt. But with the TV deals, you might see a revolt soon if the TV deals do not go the way that they think. I mean, they made nothing off the Roku Sunday morning deal. ESPN wants to drop out of baseball altogether to the point where their top reporter might switch to the NBA. They're in trouble in terms of TV deals. And if that becomes a problem, that's where the money is at this point. That's where the money is. If that's,
I mean,
isn't that the whole Sacramento thing? Like, oh man, like,
isn't that where things are really going with all of the top leagues in the US is really a TV first, attendance second model?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because more national. It's way more national.
Yeah. I mean, we see it even with the UFL spring football. I mean, they're more worried about that was get the TV deal before we even worry about trying to put butts in the seats.
Yeah, the first 2 years for the USFL, they were playing in front of nobody.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Jags Texans in Houston. I rewatched the game this morning. You had your rant on it, and I'll let you throw that. One of us can throw that in the chat.
Yeah. I'll put it in the chat. I'll find the link.
All right. What do you guys are 0-4. Y'all had some close games. Y'all have had some not so close games.
Mm-hmm.
You said at the beginning of the season, if y'all could come out of this 4-game stretch 2-2, you would be happy.
Yep.
You guys were definitely in a position to win on Sunday. Your defense fell short. On that final drive. But what are your good, bads, and uglies of this game. And like I said, we have your rant in the chat. So if you want to check out the full rant on Doug Peterson needs to be fired, you can check that out. But let's start off with the good.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Thomas is incredible. Brian Thomas, Trent Baalke hit on that first round pick. He absolutely hit on that first round pick. Brian Thomas is going to be a stud for years to come. He's looked great to start the year off. He really stretches the field. He's a reliable receiver, and it's been a good year for rookie receivers in general. Malik Neighbors playing lights out, Marvin Harrison Jr. playing lights out, and Brian Thomas looks just really good. He had that nice 31-yard grab during the game. He had a very good end-around play. Thomas can play. Thomas is really, really good, and I'm excited to see how he develops going forward. Ventrell Miller also, he was thrown into the starting lineup because Foyalua kind of got hurt, and I hadn't seen a Jaguar linebacker play that well in the run game in quite some time. Ventrell Miller looked great, and we can build off of Ventrell. I saw him make more plays by a Jags linebacker than I have since the Saxonville days. I will say Buster Brown also looked very good at cornerback. He had to be thrown into the fire with Tyson Campbell out on IR, and he looked very good, especially that second half. He was making a ton of pass breakups. So there are some good pieces, young pieces that I didn't expect to be that good this year that have stepped up to the plate.
Yeah. I saw a lot of good defensive plays. You guys made a lot of great defensive plays. Y'all held us to 24 yards in the third quarter. I mean, but then in the fourth quarter, I saw a lot of playing back. I saw a lot of soft coverage. So do you blame that? And obviously that's the defensive coordinator that's calling that for those soft coverages. But do you blame it on Doug as well for allowing those soft coverages when you guys were needing
I don't blame
press?
I don't blame the defense solely on Doug. I mean, I thought the defense played fine. I really think at the end of the day, you got an elite quarterback on the other side. Half the defense is hurt. What Nielsen likes to do is play a lot of man-to-man. He likes to play a ton of man-to-man, but the problem is that it's tough to do that when half your guys are hurt because you don't have the talent to play man-to-man.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we held the Texans to 7 points in the second half. I would have taken that any day of the week.
Yeah.
So I can't really blame the defense for this one at all. I think the only thing I blame them for is not being ready for the final play. Like they were never going to run the ball because if they ran the ball and got stuffed, the clock would have run out. They would have settled for 3 potentially. Best case scenario is to settle for 3. So I don't know why they bid on play action, but other than that, I can't really blame the defense for this performance.
Yeah, especially like a play action that was clearly not meant to go to the fullback.
Yeah. Very obvious.
Let's talk about the bad. Now, I know there's ugly in there too, but let's go bad first.
I mean, this was one of those games, the first time I could really say it, that Trevor Lawrence was the reason the Jaguars lost. On the field, at least. On the field. I mean, he missed a lot of open throws. His pocket presence has not been the same in terms of the spin move to get out of sacks. That is, I don't know where you learned that from, but it's not working.
And Tiki really highlighted that during the broadcast too, didn't he?
Yeah. You know, Trevor, usually he's like, if we lose a game, he's either not the reason we lost or he's one of the reasons, but he's never been the biggest reason until this past Sunday. I mean, if he hits that post pattern over the middle, if he doesn't make ill-advised decisions in the pocket. And what's weird too is that Trevor's very accurate. Like usually, like Trevor has his flaws. Obviously, tries to play hero ball, tries to do a bit too much at times. But Trevor's usually very accurate going deep. That's why I've always said, like, let Trevor be Trevor. Let him throw deep. Actually try and stretch the field. And this was the first time that he was missing those throws. I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is not who Trevor is. It's never been that way. Even as a rookie, he was hitting those throws.
Right.
I don't know what happened this game.
Any other bads, or should we just get to the uglies?
Let's get to the ugly.
Obviously, Doug Peterson is a major problem right now for you guys. But what else is going on that's downright ugly with this team?
I think it's really at the end of the day, it's a coaching thing. I mean, you're 0-4. Jacques Khan called this the best Jaguars team ever assembled, and you're 0-4. So something's up. Something's up. And the play calling was just abysmal. The coaching was abysmal. Doug Pearson said that Press Taylor called a good game. which clearly he did not. Because if he did, we would have scored more than 20 and really more than 13 because 7 of the points came out on the punt. At the end of the day, Tank Bigsby had a 55-yard run. They gave him the ball immediately after 15 seconds after. He was gasping for oxygen. I don't know what that was. The runs out of the shotgun on first and second down by the goal line. We knew we weren't going to score. I knew as soon as we were doing that, we weren't going to score. I knew as soon as Bigsby didn't get in the end zone that we were not scoring there. And then you have the throws on second and third down late instead of trying to kill clock, which, I mean, the play calls were just awful there. You had the fact that Tank Bigsby had no carries in the fourth quarter for some reason. Brian Thomas Jr. was on the field on a 3rd and 14. He was on the field in that 3rd and 7 at the end of the fourth. It was 3rd and 7 at the end of the fourth. Jags are up by 3. You get the first down. You're in a pretty good spot, and your best receiver is not on the field, even though everyone knows you're throwing. I don't get it. I just don't get what Doug Peterson's doing.
After these first 4, what are your takeaways as far as what you guys need to do the next 4 weeks?
Well, we have Colts, Bears, Patriots. There's no reason with the talent on this team you can't win all 3. There's really no reason that you can't win all 3 with the talent on this team.
And if y'all don't win Patriots, something's wrong.
We go 1-6. I think with a coaching on this team, you go 1-6 in that stretch.
With y'all's only win being the Patriots?
Probably the Patriots, yeah. Just because they have no offense. And I think with our defensive line, I think Allen and Walker could have a field day against that O-line.
Yeah. Well, on the Texans side, now, like I said, I rewatched the game today because I really wanted to see what I had missed Sunday. I'm seeing a lot of issue, or as far as the good, I'm seeing a lot of clutch plays being made by Collins and Diggs. Diggs probably the biggest sign that they could have given CJ, because he's just making clutch after clutch. Collins has 100-yard day. And then Stroud throws for over 300 yards as well. I mean, this team at home is good, but the third quarter, the second half, until the final drive, that second half looked abysmal.
Yeah.
Our defense is doing its job, continuing to get pressure. I don't know how many hurries we had on Trevor, but it was quite a few. And our red zone defense, which is ranked at the bottom of the league, came up with some really big stops.
I mean, granted, our red zone offense is absolutely terrible, so anyone can stop them.
That's true. And then my final good is Akers has kind of stepped into that running back 1 position with Mixon out and just continues to do good, to do enough. I should say he's doing enough to maintain our run game, to keep it relevant. And it's not, you guys are just going to air it out because y'all have no run game now without Mixon. I think that's what I really took away from this game as far as our goods. And I think that really gives us an all around threat of we can hold teams low points. We can shoot out with them if we have to, but at the end of the day, we have a good core, but we have some problems too.
A lot.
First punt of the game. If we're going to talk about the first punt of the game, we muff it. Give you guys the ball on the 3-yard line.
Yeah, Sims did not have a good day. Sims made a few gaffes on special teams.
Got benched twice.
Yep.
We're getting stuck in in too many 3rd and longs as well. I saw it was like, especially in the third and fourth quarter, we were in 3rd and long a lot. Like we would drive we weren't going 3 and outs, but we would drive, and then it's like, oh, we're in 3rd and long, and it's like we can't get out of those positions, and I feel like we're just getting stuck in 3rd and long way too much. Our O-line is still trash. You guys got to Stroud a lot. And y'all do have some elite D linemen, but our O-line just was collapsing like crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how Stroud got out of 3 of those sacks. There were like 3 plays where I don't know how Stroud escaped, but they could have been really big plays, and obviously it didn't work out that way. But
and then the penalties.
Oh yeah,
O-line penalties, and along with the penalties, I think protection is where the O-line really needs to work. Every person on our O-line has been called for penalties this year. But other than that, it's like these guys, they work together when they need to, but they fall apart when it's like this drive really doesn't matter. So let's just fall apart and let's put CJ at risk. And CJ takes too many sacks. We're going to be looking at where's the problem. And I think that left side of the line is really a problem right now. As far as the ugly, 24 yards in the 3rd quarter. We had multiple chances, and y'all gave us 24 yards.
Mm.
Do you chalk that up to good defense, bad play calling, or a little bit of both?
I think it was good defense. I think it was good defense. I mean, the middle of the field was not there in the second half, which was good. I mean, Buster Brown had some nice plays. I don't know, for whatever reason, our defense looks way better in the second half than the first half. Yeah. Against the Browns, same thing. They scored every drive in the first half. Second half, they did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. Right. The Bills game, I mean, granted, they're playing backups for that point, but the defense looked better in the second half than the first half. I mean, our first half defense, I think on 10 of our last 11 drives in the first half, we've allowed points. But second half has been better. So whatever Ryan Nielsen's doing at halftime, it's been working.
Yeah. Tunzel, a major issue with penalties. I think they said he had 11 penalties on the year already.
Mm-hmm.
And as a tackle, you just can't have that.
Yeah.
And I think that's I think that really killed us in Minnesota last week. It almost killed us against you guys. But the penalty difference was huge. I mean, we were getting called all day. Y'all were hardly getting called at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Ryan needs to get these guys settled down, and especially on the holding, the false starts, and the illegal formations.
Oh yeah.
So that's our recap of the game. Like I said, you can check the link in the chat for JG9's full rant about Doug Peterson. But let's talk about the rest of the league. Anything shock you this week?
The Jets looking as bad as they did against the Broncos. I mean, anytime you have a game against a team, and that team throws for 0 yards to every receiver not named Cortland Sutton, and that team can't move the ball at all, and I don't think Bo Nix completed a pass beyond the line of scrimmage to a guy not named Cortland Sutton, and you have Aaron Rodgers on the other side, you lose the game. I don't know what the heck happened to the Jets this week. I think that was the biggest shock to me. Nothing else really shocked me, but that was one of those what the heck are you doing?
Yeah. I think the one that really struck me as this team might not be there is the Rams. The Rams getting beat by Chicago. I think that one was the wait, this happened?
Yeah, I wasn't too surprised by the Rams losing. I think this is going to be one of those seasons for the Rams. Their defense does not look good without Aaron Donald in there, obviously.
Right.
And the offense, it just looks kind of cooked right now. The offense just looks very stagnant for whatever crazy reason.
Yeah. A couple of other games that I picked wrong in my pick 'em. Tampa Bay beating Philly.
Tampa looks good this year. I'm not surprised by Philly because they didn't have any of their top 2 receivers. Now, I'm surprised by how bad their defense looked. Their defense laid a complete egg. It was 28-0 midway through the second. I didn't expect that. But offensively, I knew this was going to be a rough day for Philly with how little talent they had at wide receiver. Dodson has not stepped up. They have no depth outside of him. They have one of the best 1-2 punches in Smith and Brown, but if they're both out like they were on Sunday, it's not going to be pretty.
And then a game you called on Sunday night, a blowout. Buffalo getting torched by Baltimore.
Did not see Buffalo losing by that much. That was one of those games where I think if the Ravens play like that, they're a Super Bowl favorite. If the Ravens play like that, they're a Super Bowl contender. But that's one of those games for Buffalo where there was no need to call that trick play. The momentum of the game was flipping on its head. You got to stop. You're moving the ball. And then you call a trick play to the near side of the field where the sideline could be a 12th defender. I don't know what the purpose of that trick play was. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish with that trick play, but after that, it was over. After that, it was over.
Yeah. We did see a trick play Monday night that actually worked.
Yeah.
Flacco getting, or not Flacco, Goff getting his first touchdown reception and going perfect. That was a game. That was a good game.
That was a very, very good game. And Detroit's offense the first 3 weeks, Goff wasn't looking the sharpest. But he plays like that. They're the favorite in the NFC. I'm not sure who's stopping him at that point. The man was literally perfect. The only thing that I never heard that the Lions did was there was a point in the fourth where they called a drive that took the game completely out of his hands. They called 3 straight runs for whatever reason when he was perfect. But other than that, Lions played very well. That Jameson Williams touchdown was incredible. What a breakout season he's having. First 2 seasons, he was he had his moments. He definitely could have played a bit better. This season, he looks really good. This season, he looks like the man they drafted him to be.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Some news over the past month. Andy Reid's got asked if Swift was a distraction for Kelsey. What are your thoughts on him even being asked that?
Yeah, you don't blame someone else for you don't blame a third party for that. You don't blame a third party. That's completely uncalled for.
Yeah. And Kelsey pretty much stated it's on him. He's not playing up to his potential.
Yeah. We don't ask the other people when they have girlfriends and wives and whatnot. Are they a distraction?
Well, they did it to Romo, so
right.
But that was he actually admitted later that was a distraction.
Yeah. It'd be different if it was missing practice and missing or being encouraged by her to miss practice and whatnot. But he's not. He's not. Right. He's got every right to do what he wants to do in his off time as long as he's
making camp and making practice, he's good.
Yep, as long as it's not detrimental to the team, you're fine.
A big one for the Texans, they were cleared of any wrongdoing with the Kaimi Fairbairn contract. Your thoughts on this even being an issue?
Yeah, I didn't think there was anything with that. I didn't think there was anything wrong with that at all. I thought that was totally fine. I had no issue with what the Texans did there. There's stuff that I've had an issue with, and we're they probably that'll be a strongly worded letter by the NFL. The Fairbairn thing was a nothing burger.
Yeah. Fairbairn agrees to restructure his contract. They get it in, and it doesn't get reported that it was put in. So, at least it was the reporting, the people that were responsible for it saying, "Hey, we screwed up."
Yeah.
All right, I gotta put this up here because Vince is blowing up the chat.
Let's go. No,
Vince
no chance.
asks, is Flacco a Hall of Famer?
No chance. No chance. He has one ring, no Pro Bowls, was never a top 5 quarterback at any point. He will not make the Hall of Fame.
He's been a
Now,
backup his whole career, right?
Yeah. It's basically like, would you let Jim Plunkett in? Would you let Jim Plunkett in? And I don't think most people would let Jim Plunkett in. Flacco's the same way. Flacco's not a Hall of Famer. No.
It's interesting because everyone wants their favorite player in, but yet it's kind of looking at them with rose-colored glasses. You don't see what they haven't done.
Right.
I mean, Stroud's on pace for a Hall of Fame career, but he's only been in the league for 2 years.
Yeah.
So being on pace for it, being in some elite company with Mahomes and Warner through 10 home games is incredible, but he's got to keep that momentum. He's got to win some championships, and he's got to lead this team to consistency, which we've never had, to even be in that talk. Yeah. Meanwhile, guys like Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers, they have proven themselves, and now they're just riding that high into the Hall of Fame. As long as they maintain what they're doing, they should be good.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that'll be fine.
Any injury news out of this weekend that's going to be major for the teams that are involved?
Yeah, I think Rashee Rice. That was a bad injury they suffered against the Chargers, and now you don't have Hollywood Brown. You don't have Rashee Rice. They're kind of screwed at wide receiver. The fact they were going to Sky Moore a lot tells you everything you need to know about how depleted their wide receivers are right now. They got to make a trade. I don't know who you get. I was thinking maybe Robert Woods because he's kind of buried on the depth chart. He's not doing anything with Houston. He's a veteran receiver. He knows what he's doing. I think you might make a call for Robert Woods if you're going to make a wide receiver trade and not have to give a lot of capital.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We saw quite a few people banged up this week. But nothing major coming out of those. I mean, most people were able to return to the games. Other than one of your defensive guys was treated for a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Titans quarterback never returned to the game after the dive on the sideline where he landed on his shoulder.
Yeah, but he should be able to come back. I don't think it's anything serious for Will Levis.
Yeah. Let's talk a little music. The Country Music People's Choice Awards were this weekend. Real smart going up against Sunday Night Football, but so be it. You can see the list of winners. I don't know half of these people. I do know who Lainey Wilson is. Female. She won Female Artist of the Year. Luke Combs won Male Artist of the Year. Dan and Shay. I don't hear a lot about them, but I do know that they're really good.
Yeah, they got good harmony.
Very good harmony together. Group of the Year. I do like that Luke Combs did win the Album of the Year. Does that surprise you?
A little bit because of how successful Morgan Wallen's album was, but also because of just that didn't get a whole lot of buzz. That album it kind of just came and went. Like it wasn't I don't think he was writing for singles on that one. He wasn't writing for hits. That was like just one of his passion projects.
Yeah.
But I mean, Luke Combs is great, so I'm never going to hate on anything that Luke Combs gets.
Yeah. Post Malone and Morgan Waller had Song of the Year with I Had Some Help. Great song.
I'm not sure that's country, but I'm not sure I classify that as country, but it's a good song, but it's borderline country.
Right.
Borderline all country.
I mean, but wouldn't you say Morgan Waller is pretty much borderline country to begin with?
Some of his stuff. I mean, they're like Cowgirls is not country. I mean,
Right.
it's a trap beat. It's with the 808 drums. Like that's not country. Country's not 808 drums.
Right. Um, Luke Combs got male song of the year as well with Ain't No Love in Oklahoma.
That better win an Oscar. That's like that might be my favorite song because I was so bummed he didn't play it at my show that he went that because he did 2 nights. He did 2 nights in Phoenix, and I went to the first night. I didn't go the second night, but he did not play it the first night. He played the second night.
That
I think, but that it wasn't like a huge hit at the time.
right.
Now I think he plays at every show.
Yeah. Miles on It by Kane Brown and Marshmello for video of the year.
Yeah, I've not seen the video for that one.
Kane Brown had an interesting start. He was kind of a Facebook star and got a record deal out of it. He's made the most of it for sure. Yeah. I mean, he's a big artist, and I love to see the success he has had. And then the tour of the year, Morgan Wallen. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, people are not fans of his tour. Like, I don't know if you can win tour of the year if you have the whole debacle that happened earlier this year in Mississippi. I don't know if you can win tour of the year if you have to cancel dates because of your drunkenness. I don't know if you can win tour of the year if you get arrested while you're on tour for doing stuff in a hotel room. I don't know. I know my sister went to see Morgan Wallen because she got tickets a while ago and then he canceled and like rescheduled. And she said it was not a good tour. She said it was like one of the worst concerts she's been to. Like he can't sing.
So basically he's relying on auto-tune.
Yeah. She said like I was so disappointed by that concert. Like the only reason I won was because I still had tickets because after like everything that he did on tour, like I had heard nothing good about it. And it's just like sunk cost fallacy at that point.
Yeah.
And she said it was terrible.
Shamboozey winning new artist of the year. That's surprising.
No. I mean that song, a bar song, is incredible. He's been like on the verge of blowing up for a bit. My only concern with him, when your first song is that big, I don't know how you follow it up. When you're like, if I was ever to get big, like I want my first song to be a hit, but not like a massive hit.
You don't want it to be your signature song.
Right, like a top 10, top 5 hit, something like that. Like if it goes number 1 for like 2 weeks, it's fine, but not biggest song of the year. Not like one of the biggest songs of all time, potentially.
Right.
I mean, this has been number 1 for 11 weeks down the pop charts. I'm not sure I want my first hit to be that, where it's like, I cannot possibly follow this up.
It's like, I'm done. I'm going back to the farm, right?
Yeah. It's almost like Sabrina Carpenter. Her first big hit was Nonsense. And that like was a top 20 hit. And it was like, it was a good song and like big hit and top 20 and everyone knows it, but wasn't like this cultural phenomenon like a bar song is.
Yeah. Speaking of bar songs, going back to Luke Combs, his song One Too Many.
Yeah.
To be able to get Brooks and Dunn to work on that with him, Ronnie of course does the final chorus of it. Do you think that song deserved more than it got as far as recognition? Because it didn't get a lot of recognition from the award shows, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that song was like a pretty big hit for Combs. It wasn't like his biggest, but it was a pretty big hit. Like he plays it at all his shows. It's well liked. He usually not ends the show, but it's usually like one of the final songs he plays.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good song. I think it got the recognition that it deserved. Maybe a bit more would have been nice, but it wasn't like under the radar.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, I probably got on its rate again. I do not listen to like I'm not one listening to the highway on Sirius XM. I'm listening to Prime Country on Sirius XM.
Yeah.
So I don't hear the latest music unless it just comes across me hearing it somewhere and me like, hey, that's a good song. Let me figure out what that is. So I think I probably got on it a little late, but when I was looking at like what it had won and stuff like that, I was like, this really didn't win a lot in compared to some other big songs that I've liked. We mentioned this last month and I wanted to correct something before we go. We talked about a dumb decision from the past with Oklahoma and Baylor. And I said it was the year the Bears won the Big 12. It was not. It was the year that RG3 won the Heisman, which was my mistake. And I've sent you the video. It's called The Game That Won RG3 the Heisman. And my question to you is, one, have you watched the end of that game? And two, do you agree that that was a dumb decision to take the timeout?
You don't take the timeout on that spot. That's one of those you do not take the timeout on that spot. Just plain and simple. Like, there's so many coaches now. There's so many coaches that just don't know when to call timeout, when not to.
And
that's
for
like
it to be that coach,
yeah, it's like the biggest thing I do on dumb decisions now is just timeout management, because it's just so bad and so prevalent.
I mean, you've got the tie. Baylor's going to let it run. Just let it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Not only was it the pass that really cemented RG3 as a top pick, it was the biggest loss to Baylor that Oklahoma ever had, and it was that coach.
Yeah.
Who is a renowned coach in college football. I mean, to make that dumb of a move, yeah.
Everyone is one. Everyone is one they'd like to have back.
Yeah. I'm sure you would like to throw a bunch of them back to Doug, though.
Oh yeah. It's like 20,000 with him.
Let's talk about dumb decisions real quick. Who are you surprised that hasn't made a dumb decision this year?
I haven't done Dable yet. I've not done Dable yet, but he'll be up there at some point. I mean, it's not like he's coaching well, but he hasn't done anything egregious in terms of the in-game management side.
Right. Have you done one on McCarthy yet?
Yeah, I've done two. I've already done two. He's giving me content.
Free
He's giving me a lot of content in terms of not knowing when to call timeout.
Do you sometimes feel like you're beating a dead horse with the dumb decisions on timeouts in the last 2 minutes?
100%. 100%. Like I love making history videos, and it's like obviously this time of year, like 2024 season comes first,
right?
And it's like, like anytime a coach does something, like have stuff in the queue, I'm like, okay, I can get a history video today. I can do like this thing I want to do on JaguarGator when I'm listening, and then the coach does something, I'm like, oh crap, I gotta do a video on this. It's a bit different if I know it's gonna be like, if it's a marquee game and it's like a Nick Sirianni level decision that like loses the game. Straight up loses the game. That's a bit different. It's like, okay, like everyone's gonna be talking about this. Like this is gonna be good. But I mean, a lot of this is just the same thing over and over again in terms of here's why I call a timeout. Here, you don't let the clock run down another 7 seconds. Like there's only so many times you can say it.
Your chalkboard wearing out a little.
Yeah, like because you gotta make it interesting every time. You can't just read.
I love the joke you had about maybe needing the whiteboard instead.
Yeah.
Was it refreshing not to do one on timeout management today?
I did one like just before we went live on Chiefs Chargers at the end of the first half, but in terms of like before the 2-minute warning, yeah, no, it felt good. I was like, okay, we can take a break from the whiteboard for a week. I can take a little bit of a break.
Yeah. Well, as always, thank you for agreeing to do this with me each month. We do them first Tuesday of every month, and it just happened to be October 1st this time. What do you got coming out through the rest of the day and for tomorrow, other than obviously you got trivia tomorrow night?
Yeah. I'm going to be probably live in a few minutes, probably like 9 o'clock, 9:30 on just my main channel doing College Football 25 stream. We're going to do some history videos coming out tomorrow, which I'm looking forward to. JG8 will do a dumb decisions episode for that. There was a really weird decision made by Arizona in their win against Utah that we'll talk about. I've wanted to get there for a bit, but the NFL coaches should just stop giving me a break. And we will have we got some good content coming out. We got some good content. I should have a video about a Giants-Browns trade tomorrow. I know they don't play each other this week, but I should have a video about a Giants-Browns trade that just happened on accident. They just accidentally agreed to a trade, and it's like, oh, well, okay.
I'll ask, because I always ask, status on the Baylor A&M rivalry.
Right now. Their coaches are not helping me. The coaches are just not helping me.
Yeah. Baylor A&M rivalry has been around a long time, and I gave you the idea of how to approach how that rivalry came about. So I look forward to that video whenever it does come out.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Just
what's the longest it's taken you for a video?
Oh, years. In terms of like from concept to like to putting
from
it out.
Someone requesting it, or from you getting the concept to it being released.
Years. Like there's still some stuff that I'm not done yet that I need to, that like back in 2020.
Wow.
Like there's still like
people are still waiting.
No, people aren't waiting that long. Like the idea of like, I'm thinking in my head, like I have this idea for a video, but I can't get it out. Like Dennis Miller or TNT. Like I've had those ideas for a while. And A9 Steelers vid. The A9 Steelers vid, when that drops, that's going to be the greatest video I've ever put out in my life. But
been working on that a while, huh?
I have no clue when that's coming out.
You call college football on Thursday night. All right. Friday nights. You call the Thursday night football game this week or every week, and then Saturday is usually 2 games.
2 games. Yep. Usually there's always a primetime game, and then either we do 12 o'clock or 3:30, depends on what it is. This week we're doing 3:30. Next week, because it's Texas Oklahoma at 12 o'clock, we'll do that. So
that's going to be a big game.
Yeah, it depends on who's playing, what the top 25 matchup is, what like how good the big new game is, and how good the CBS 3:30 game is.
Yeah. And the fact that they don't announce times till the last minute doesn't help either.
No, it does not. I would use so many more You Make the Calls if I knew. If I knew.
Yeah. As always, we can catch you on official JaguarGator9, JaguarGator8, JaguarGator7, although that one's kind of on hiatus right now.
Yeah. I want to get JGA going like more before I resume JG7. A copyright's been just a mess with baseball content creators. So
yeah. And then you've got JG9 News, which is where you post your rants and any major news that's going on in the NFL.
Yep, usually about once or twice a week. Like it's just off the cuff, unscripted. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. Anything else you want to plug?
Nothing really. Nothing really in terms of like obviously we do trivia streams every night. I will say that starting next week, we have Conference USA and Maction taking place on weeknights. So we got more streams for the college football games. So if you want me to stream games on Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights and whatnot, like we're gonna be doing that.
Overtime on select broadcasts where we get to torture you.
Yep.
How have you liked calling my Madden games?
They've been good. They've been good. I mean, that dumb decision made against the Rams was like, I'm still trying to process that, but at least you won the game. At least you won that one.
So I know that yes, that it drove you nuts with that. And my defense of that is I try not to blow out the scores on certain games.
Yeah.
And that score was already a blowout to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, nah, if I make it, I make it. If I don't, I don't. I really don't care. I'm just ready to get to the half. So So yeah. But yeah, I gave you carte blanche. I said, criticize my timeout management, criticize what I'm doing. Don't hold back. So
Yep.
I've got my conference championship game coming up, probably tomorrow night, and I'll do week 4 of the NFL on 25 tomorrow during the day. So look out for those. I don't do commentary. One of the major reasons I don't do commentary is I want that guy to do them. I want you to. I love when you do them.
Yep.
I wish I could get I could do clips of you doing them, but because your things are so crazy for you, you're doing 5 things at once.
Yeah.
So it's not a really good solid clip of you calling the game. So I don't do it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to listen to you call Madden games.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good.
So, and for those wondering, the 3rd season of my 3-season challenge with the same base team will be up as soon as I take care of playoffs with 24. And I'll be so glad to get off of 24.
Yeah.
24 is a nightmare because I can't do screenshots. I can't do, I have to completely shut down everything on my computer. Or it doesn't register my game controller.
Yeah, that's not good.
So, because I didn't buy it through Steam, I'm playing the free version through EA's launcher. So, yeah. Well, thank you. We will be back next month, and until then, thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.